So here we are again.
We're recording.
Unfortunately, we're one short today.
Yeah, we're missing Sally.
Yeah, we are. She's missed terribly. But the show must go on. So
It's a show time.
it's showtime. And with the T-Man and the Villager and myself, we will try and make it as entertaining and educational as possible. So T-Man.
Yeah.
So how is it in Canada, and what you've been up to? Any latest news in Canada and the tech scene?
We always have stuff going on. One thing that I think has been just screaming in the news lately is the amount of cybersecurity activity. I'd seen some stats even in Alberta and just in general. Like, I think that from this time last year, there's 1 billion more pervasive threats already in 2020 than in 2019.
You're reading it off a script again, Tony, aren't you?
Hey? No, I'm looking at my monitor.
Yeah.
I could see myself in the other monitor. No scripting.
So about yourself, man.
Yeah, man, it's busy with my regular work, which I do. I earn a little bit of money on the side, so pay my bills, I guess. I do that. And I have been watching the tech earnings from Google and other 3 big companies. Actually, I tweeted about it a couple of days back. And Google's cloud growth was lower than I don't know. Google's cloud actually doubled, but Microsoft was slowing down a little bit, right? So the growth rate was below what people expected.
So
Amazon's growth.
Could we go for then? Out of all of them, what's the best stock?
Best? Okay, yeah, I think best one was the Apple's earnings were like they killed it, right? Apple killed it. Amazon killed it on their grocery side. Groceries online, people are buying much more, like more than 150% growth or something like this. It's crazy numbers. Their cloud grew a little slower than what people expected, but still they're growing from a higher base. I mean, they're the leader in cloud, like by far. So they grew considerably, but like a little slower than what analysts were expecting. So yeah. That was the highlight. Those 2 companies are killing it. And Apple's revenue on iPhone was low, but on some other services it was up because people are staying at home and using. They sold a bunch of more iPads because people want to draw at home and they want to do activities for kids. So like I know personally 4 people who bought new iPads, not iPods. Did I say iPod? Man, I'm old.
Hey, so, I own an iPod. I'll admit that.
I used to have one.
iPad.
I'm not an Apple guy, but I have an iPod.
iPod, the small one?
Yeah.
No, I
have
the
little ones.
Size one. That's where I play my music. Yeah.
Yeah, your dog is behind you. No.
Yeah, I know. Keeps his beady eyes on me at all times.
Cute.
Yeah.
What's happening, Neil, in UK? What's are you out of EU yet or not?
Yeah,
I always pick on you guys.
Count the days, sadly. Brexit's more on the agenda now, and no one knows what to do. There's no surprise there, really. They had some crazy stuff and propaganda going around on the news that made them look really bad if we left the EU for it's some dirty tactics going on there, really.
So there's
at the end of the day, we're leaving. We're too late, right? We're going.
Yeah.
We just need to start preparing for it, and nobody seems to. Right? It's crazy. But what I want to talk about was about AI, so we could have a really interactive discussion. Because mostly because I watched the Joe Rogan episode. He's interviewing Elon Musk.
Yeah, that's a famous one.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally 2 months ago in May.
It was in I think in April or May. Yeah.
Yeah, and just watching how, for one, the guy always looks stoned, right? For one, you get that. He's like it's just not there, right? But two, how far along he's come with that
Neural.
Neuralink
Yes.
company, right? It was quite shocking. And he monologued for a little bit, but when I started, he started to explain what he would see in the future. You know, like when you got Bluetooth in little chip Bluetooth they're going to implant in your head, right? And there's some little like tiny little wires in certain parts of the brain, amazingly for good, right? You know, all of a sudden paralyzed people can move their arms and legs, right? And do some really interesting, good things. But you know, it's opened up a whole new ball game now, right? And they're going to human trials next year. You know? You know, 5 years time, right? You and I and Tony, right, are all going to be jacking up in our heads to the neural net because we want to stay faster and smarter than everyone else. And upgrade. And we'll all be just not talking to each other ever, right?
Or we'll just be rigged up like the Borg, right? And resistance will be futile.
I mean, to put it in context, you know, the three of us, right? Would you have an upgrade if it was offered to you, right?
I will after it's tested in the field, and some people have done it. And
I think it's for good. Yeah, I think it's for good too. I think this is a whole big debate. I think this is an enhancement. It's not a replacement, right? I think this is enabling people, like you said, Neil, like when you look at being able to help people walk or be able to control their arms. And Sarbjeet, before we started recording, you were talking about how brain waves have been, you know, for some time have been able to be caught and deciphered into code in order to define moving limbs, artificial limbs, and robotics and stuff like that. To me, I think that's a good thing. I think that's something that's going to help people. I think where there's a line or a barrier is how this is going to be militarized, how this is going to be used in a wrong potential way, right? But I think on a whole, I think there's certainly a lot of positive things that it's showing that are really just going to enhance more. How far this goes, I think it's speculative. I think this goes back to the debate we were having last week.
Yeah.
That perhaps this is just going to, like with all this emerging tech, perhaps this is just going to lighten the load on some things. It's not going to take over your whole brain.
When he went in and explained it, we're all using the technology now, right? So we're all pretty much a cyborg as it is, right? We interface with our phone. Our phone happens to be in our pocket. We don't even have to put it to our head. We put the earphones in, but it's infinitely slower than a computer, for example, or a chip, to do that for you, right? They could do that 1,000 times faster than you listen to that conversation, right? Then you've got to understand it cognitively, and then you've got to think about what you're going to say back. It was just mind-blowing.
I think he's up to something. Like, I think the simple tasks, simple calculations, simple stuff is easy, right? When it's about gathering complex thoughts, right? Like when you have like 8 to 20, you know, maybe 8 to 12 contextual variables when you're trying to think about an idea. I think that's where these things may not work that great, or they will, like, it will all jumbled up, like, and it's algorithms at the end of the day when we talk digital, right?
But he was even saying, Sarbjeet, that at the time when it actually gets rolled out commercially like that, we would not understand the language that's talking, a chip in our head. So it's actually, we'll be talking a completely different language from a machine code point of view that we're designed not to understand it, right? And you know, you take that away, it's quite scary that nobody will even be able to talk or think for themselves or anything.
Actually, in a way,
fails.
Well, I think that's probably pretty speculative. I think if we go back to, you know, looking at how infancy this is at, right, and how many like iterations this will be, to me, it's more just a matter of enabling its task orientated, right, connected to you physically, right? but you're still carrying out the tasks of where you think you got to move your arm and you can move your arm, or where you think you got to do a certain thing and it happens. So it's just more rudimentary at this point, and it might take, who knows how far it will go, but I don't believe that it will get to a point in our lifetime where you're seeing it actually read someone's every thought and everything they're doing, right? I don't think
actually,
I was going to say,
I think we are reverse engineering. We are reverse. We're going in reverse. Like on one end, we are trying to create robots, right? Robotics. All these big companies. Google has invested in all that stuff in Boston. That company, you see the robots all the time jumping, all that stuff, like animal looking kind of stuff, right? So Boston Dynamics, their name is. So we are trying to make them intelligent, like humans or animals, right? But on the flip side,
trials next year.
No, hold on. On the flip side, we're trying to turn humans into robots. That's what Musk's company is. Like, he can turn humans into robots. Means, like, I don't talk English or Hindi, Punjabi, whatever other languages are like right? But we'll talk code. But we will not even talk behind the scenes. The data is transmitting. Like when I meet you, I'm like, it's like those science fiction movies. Like something went to your brain and something from your brain came to my brain, and then we know what we meant to say to each other. So there's no language. It's just digits passed back and forth. But then that's like turning us into robots, right? Yeah. And as Tony said, I think it will not be the total thought, but it will be like maybe task oriented, like it's military people. You can fire guns or something like that.
For the benefit of us, or you two anyway, and anyone that's watching this, let me show you a quick video of taken from his launch.
Sure.
Let's shoot her down. Let's see it.
24 microns in diameter. Extremely, extremely small. It's so small you can't really even see it in the picture with the penny. So you can get a sense for the robot doing the electrode insertion. That's a very zoomed in view. So they're all very, very tiny, and the robot is very selectively applying them very delicately. And then this is what the chip looks like. So action potentials. So each one of those represents one electrode. So there would be up to 10,000 of these lines. So in terms of things that I think are important to bear in mind, this I think has a very good purpose, which is to cure important diseases, and ultimately to help secure humanity's future as a civilization relative to AI. The threads are very tiny, and there's a lot of them, and they're very carefully placed. And the operation on a per chip basis, it involves just a 2 millimeter incision, which is dilated to 8 millimeters, and then the chip is placed through that, and then it goes back to being 2 millimeters, and you can basically glue it shut. You don't even need a stitch.
Wow, that was great.
Really big. This is again where we're breaching into this whole new world of rapidly advancing technology. And this is again where I more and more see this. We often say in life that we never have enough time in the day, that if we only had more time, we could do more things. I personally feel the more and more that I see how this stuff is rolling out, it's going to give us that more time. And this is just another way of taking things and tasks and completing them in a new way. That's how I see it.
You know, we could be seeing the birth of something amazing, right, with technology now, that we could be on the cusp of it, of something that's going to be the new norm, right? I mean, that could go that way. You know, we could, and this whole COVID pandemic and everything has pushed it that way in all reality, of forcing people to think digitally, forcing people to think virtually, and more and more and more. And then all of a sudden we had this big adoption and explosion of new technology going forward, and this being one of them, right? We could be seeing that. And I generally think in 5 years,
I think in less than 5 years, Neil, I think that even like we were talking on one of our last chats just about how voice recognition and a translator is really within realistically 3 years, right? Almost like Star Trek, where you can just be talking to somebody else and understanding language barriers without having to learn the language, right?
Yeah.
Well, these kind of things are quite rapid and quite an advanced capability out there. And I think that if you look at it from a perspective of we all have a chance really to drive how this thing rolls out, but I think we have to realistically look at this like, of course, people like to go right from 0 to 90 and everything's going to be terrible. It's, the media likes to flush that, right? But if you just look at it, we're in infancy stages. We're just baby steps. Who knows how much further we get from baby steps? But I think that, you need to be practical in how you look at it and think, okay, this is where we're at now. And even Sarbjeet, when we were talking about automated code, you put a good perspective on that, right? Like we're so just at the infancy. Now, a lot of these things are evolving quite rapidly and who knows where they'll go. But I think that to put some ease out there, it's not like it's just coming to take over. The robots are not walking in, right? We're not going to be all...
He gets his chip.
Yeah, well, like, I'm not all borged up. I'm not going to have like
Sorry.
Yeah, we'll have this area, the scalp area, like open, and then there's a box here.
Yeah.
On the side.
And that'll be good. Right?
So, like, okay, whatever we put in human brain, it has to be replaceable, like a socket or something. So we can't just implant it and you have to open it up every time.
Like we gotta look like we're.
Where's the wire, Tony? Where's the wire? Show us the wire you were picking up like that.
Yeah.
Where's that?
Oh yeah.
Jack,
plug it in.
Tony.
Yes, plug it in like that. It will be like that, guys.
Download.
I'll be back in 20 minutes, and I'll
go charge yourself.
Python. Just give me 20 minutes. Give me 20 minutes.
Go charge yourself. Yeah.
You know what? It's amazing to see that technology, but going one step further than that, it was incredible that they're doing human trials next year, and everything this catalyst has pushed it. If we were to choose collectively, what upgrade would we have in 3 years' time? Right. My question to you, Sarbjeet, if you had a chance to upgrade some part of you by a computer chip in your brain, what would it be?
Okay, let me tell you what it will be. Like what I want, like what my biggest struggle is. I work with many people at the same time and on many ideas. My mind never stops thinking. So I have like ideas coming to my mind all the time. I can't go to sleep at night. So I want to capture the ideas. I have OneNote on this side and I have like 3-4 different systems. I have handwriting like all over my home office. So I want something where it captures my thoughts, right? And I can recall it on my, like I can say, give me all the thoughts about AI I have had in the last 36 hours. Like show it to me. Or send it to
an
Neil.
Upgraded processor.
Wow, he goes from 0 to 120. He's got a big ask, right? Like
no. It's simple ask. It's simple ask.
CPU upgrade. Tony, what are you going for?
Well, I could see a number of things. Like I think it's quite intriguing where you could just learn something really rapidly, right? We all went to school. I'm starting another course here right away, a 6-week thing on AI, and there's that appeal like, geez, I could just learn this, right? There is also
he's low tech. He's low tech. Like why do you want to learn something why do you want to learn?
Guys, this is one that's going to touch all of us, okay? And we're all stages. No. We're all stages. We're all different stages of this.
Why do you want to learn?
Plant chips into the head and make these things happen. What about the hair follicles? Where is
that is
hair follicle?
We all need it. We all need it.
Where can I plug in and then all of a sudden, like I have got like
you can have a really big scar.
Like I can be like this, right?
So you want a memory upgrade, right?
Don't we all?
And I thought I was the only one that went to the pub tonight.
I want to take my wallet.
His digital wallet stuff. Make sure you take it off him.
That story will never end. Yeah, we want to stitch your wallet to your digital wallet somewhere.
Exactly. If I could have my car keys, my wallet, what else do you have to carry around and know, right? Just available to me, like just to think
your
and
friend.
look it up.
Yeah, you like I will hack your wallet actually, and then I will buy like a beer or whatever I want at any time.
See, and then
that money.
I'll know because I'll be like, I'll block you. I'll be like, wait, I'll block you with my mental powers, and I'll say, no, you're not taking it. But this is such a big debate. Think about this.
I would go for the connected state, right? So it's interesting. Sarbjeet wants
to hack your brain.
And
if
the
you
ability
have a chip that connects to the internet,
a lot more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tony wants to learn some stuff, right? Some new stuff, new cool stuff. Buy more memory, faster capacity to store stuff, right? And I want to go out there and be connected to everything, right? So I would love to be able to access information that I can't now instantaneously, because that's the research analyst in me. I would love to learn, and I could.
Can I be really honest? What I want?
Let him finish. Let him finish. Tony, let him finish. Let him finish. Be a good kid.
Come back to me.
But then I'll get hacked because I'm using Bluetooth 10, right? That's proprietary by Mr. Musk and his firm. Or I could easily, I mean, God, how many times do we get spammed on Bluetooth, right? When you go to a conference, it'd be like brain overload, you know? It's like you wouldn't know what to do with it. Now we're going to have to sort that one out. But no, seriously, there's a really big issue with security. Then we're not talking about personal data. We're talking about just personal, right? Forget the data, right? It's all about you, right? And that's a big concern. We're talking about privacy concerns now. My God, in 5-10 years, you know, you're either jacked into everything online, you, not just your website or your data or your docs, you, right? And how bad can that get from then on, right? Someone giving you an epileptic seizure remotely because I hacked you, and if you didn't pay me some money, right? That I can see a whole dark side of that, and that's
people are already doing that by being bad on Twitter. Sometimes they give you that kind of, you know.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
what we're talking about. So Tony, what are we saying?
Okay, so
go ahead, Tony.
Once I say this, I think you guys are all going to resonate with this. Okay, is what would you want? Well, Tony Stark. I want to have Iron Man suit, right? How cool would that be?
Funny enough,
wouldn't that be cool? Come on, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
and you'd be a robot, Tony. You'd be more.
You're not a robot. You're being enhanced with robotics around you.
Yeah, but the thing is, it'll evolve, and we won't even need to communicate, right? And because we won't have to talk to each other, you know.
No, actually, we're talking about like very long term, like 50, 100 years, 200 years.
200 years, maybe even. Yeah, who knows?
10 years, that kind of technology.
No, actually, I question that. Like Neil, like we always say, like future is already here. It's not evenly distributed yet. Like we are in our bubble most of the time. Especially we are blamed for being in the Silicon Valley. We're in the bubble. Like this prosthetic arms were being programmed 15 years back almost at Stanford. Like it's not even out there yet. It's not commercialized yet. Like we have commercialized the smartphones and stuff like that. That will take another maybe 20, 30 years before we get the prosthetics arms, which are programmed when you think you can pick up a cup and drink. But the thing is,
I'll just come back to my, sorry to interrupt with you, but coming back to my original statement, the whole pandemic has forced this technical revolution now that we could be standing in. And it's coming Silicon Valley's way, man, because like you guys have already, a lot of the techs over there have already got that technology ready, just haven't launched it or haven't had the funding to launch it or wasn't the right time. Now's the time, right?
Yeah, actually now is the time, but at the same time, now is the time to make sure that the vulnerable population, which doesn't have enough income and enough connectivity, that is also exposed at the same time. So the like more we move towards digital, the more we see the gap between haves and non-haves, right?
But
So
don't you
coming,
think with
Yeah,
this
that's
whole COVID,
capitalization, though, man. This is the thing. It's like it's literally what can you say? It's capital markets, right? It's hard to go back like decades and
but
decades.
don't you think consumers themselves, on some level, and you're seeing this with the, how some things are being developed from from an consumer experience perspective. Don't you think consumers themselves are more and more demanding some equity and some kind of social awareness or social responsibility at the corporate level, corporation level? And maybe this is a big shift as well, where we'll see some more pressure back on that, or where we'll see some more things roll out. And who knows, like, I'm sure Sally would be chiming in right now,
yeah,
reminding us
Sally,
to tech for
Sally,
good.
actually, Sally, if you're
To tech for
listening,
good.
if Sally, if you're listening and you get some time between now and when we added the show, please send your couple of minutes of comments on this segment to us, and then we can insert that into the show.
I said no pressure, Sally, but if you
Yeah.
could hurry up and do it,
Yeah.
Monday morning would be good. Right?
Yeah, no pressure. If she doesn't send it, we will not put this segment in there.
I'm only joking.
So, guys, like I think, yeah, I'm coming back to the same because I have traversed these two worlds. I was born and raised in India in a small village, and I know how the life is there. And I also know most of the world lives like that, not like in San Francisco, Silicon Valley area, or London, or in big city in Canada somewhere, right? So we are like digitally privileged in a way. Like we have most of the latest tech bells and whistles, and most of the world doesn't. And the one thing about the capitalism is this: if I can pinpoint one thing for sure, is that they look at the market size. If there's not enough market, they will not serve that market. Okay, we had the technology to help the handicapped people, blind people, people who are disabled. We never helped them. Like in last 20, 30 years. You know why? Because market is not big enough. Like who will invest? Like you 1% of the population, let's say, it's disabled or something like that, whatever that number is, right? And there's not enough market. Either the margin has to be very high or the market has to be very huge. And that's how the capital markets work.
And how they can't commercialize on providing connectivity and educational material for someone in the third world. There's no way that they and why would they, right? That's not proper ethics, right? But from a business point of view, that's why they'll steer away from that, and it has to be privately funded.
And when let me tell you one thing: when Googles of the world and Facebooks of the world, they are creating the balloons to provide internet connectivity, you think they are doing a favor to the world?
No.
Hell no. They want to create. They want to expand their market.
They're growing their user base. Yeah.
Exactly. It's out of a necessity when capitalists do anything for social good, which looks like social good. They are doing it mostly for their market share, penetration, and stuff like that. Yeah. Don't be fooled, guys.
So any final thoughts then? We wrap this up tonight. Going back to the upgrading of technology with an AI implant, right? Sarbjeet, where do you think it will end? Should we be really worried about this going forward? Should we embrace this technology with open arms and blindfolds on because post-pandemic where everyone's pushing more digital, or should we need to have some pretty cautious steps, right?
I think I usually say this, like in the grand scheme of things, the bigger systems take care of themselves, right? If something's bad, we will take care of that. We will suppress that. We have been living with nukes for last 50, 60, 70 years. We haven't, blown up one yet. So if we can live with nukes, and I think we can live with AI. I think AI will do a lot more good than bad in the world. And usually I also say this, like when the first humans, they started the fire, they invented the fire, the wheel and all the basic stuff, the lever, right? People must be scared of scared of shit, man. It's like, my God, this fire is going to burn us and we'll be destroyed and all that. We don't know how to control it, right? And then some people say, oh, we can cook with it, we can do this with that, we can melt and metals,
I think
blah,
it
blah,
might
blah.
be just evolution, right?
Yeah, I think it's
and we're just
natural.
I think it is. I think it is. Yeah, I agree.
We cannot stop technology from happening. We cannot. I think more you embrace it, the better it is. The only caveat I think is in the democracies of the world, bigger, especially capitalist democracies, the regulators have to be on top of it. We need more investment in regulation. I think we are behind in that area. We need some international regulators too in today's world.
I agree with you. I think this whole AI space needs a lot more ethics and regulation. Absolutely.
So where do you see, Tony, you know, we're talking on an embedded AI chip stimulating parts of your brain, right? From what I was talking about earlier, where do you see the real positives that we can come out of that, right? When, you know, within the next 5 years, we've got human trials next year.
So this is where I've seen some really great advancement, and I think this is a really, really positive thing, right? What this is showing to do for people with mental disorders or mental issues that are repeatedly affecting them throughout the day, what some of this is showing to help them is really it's groundbreaking. And I think that's where you have to look at it from a tech for good perspective. If someone who's challenged like that is able to go and get some kind of treatment and some kind of relief and live a better life from that, well, why wouldn't you be 100% behind that?
Yeah, true. Well, do you know what? After watching the interview with Elon Musk on Joe Rogan, I was really surprised how far along the lines his company was with this, right? But I will say one thing: it's definitely worth watching, guys, if you get time.
Yeah, I have watched it.
I've watched a bit. I've got to watch the whole thing after you reminded me.
His vision of the future, and he said this would be possible, even on this podcast, right? That I could download everything there is to know about Tony Friday, and I could actually upload that whole thing to a different person, right?
See, that is to me pretty special.
They've got the same chipsets, right? From him, obviously. I could take that from you and put you in something which is effectively cloning you, right? But in a different kind of way, right? And when he said that, I was just like, wow, right? Where the hell is that going to go?
Yeah, the 100 billion.
I've got a good jazz reply for you on that one. That Tony ain't got no soul.
Tony will be on a USB stick.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, it's easier said than done. I think simple use cases are doable, but we'll see when we get there.
I guess, yeah, we'll see when the human trials come out next year. Yeah. As long as they don't start we don't see a load of monkeys or motorbikes and stuff like that, you know, because he's.
Yeah, if a monkey comes up to me and starts talking, then we'll have another podcast.
Then you'll know he's been chipped, right?
And if he has jokes like you, then
who knows?
That takes monkeying around to a whole other level.
Who knows? Actually, maybe who knows? Maybe the monkeys are talking in us right now. So.
But he was, yeah, maybe.
We'll be replaced.
Well, this has been a very interesting evening tonight, gentlemen. Great topics, great fun as normal, and we miss you, Sally. You would have added a great deal of content, I'm sure, and laughs.
Yeah, we miss Sally. Hey guys, who are watching, please subscribe our newly created YouTube channel, and we plan to do this every week, and you will hear a lot from us. And then we are lining up some great guests actually from all around us in the periphery of technology, and we will bring some interesting guests to this program. And we plan to do this for hopefully years to come.
rights I want to check.
Check. Where's my check?
Check.
Are you okay now, you two, or what?
Yes, we're funny. Actually, this kind of stuff we can put at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Are you recording? Oh yeah, you are
both nuts.
Whoa!
Yeah. Let's put that. Let's put that at the end of
anything I said in the last
this
5 minutes.
Blooper on the trailer. This is right?
Yes, bloopers.
You two going a little bit nuts on me.
Music.
Done.